All right, what is up, YouTube? We are doing our second video in the Before React series. If you watched the first video of the series, it went over using JavaScript map and JavaScript's filter functions that are built into the array object. And we went over basic use cases for those, and then we brought them into React, and we set up a small example using Create React App, and we busted out map and filter in there. So that's part one of the series, and you can check that out on YouTube as well. So here we are, part two. We're going to step up our game a little bit. It's been a minute since I posted, but I am also working on a bachelor's degree with this online school called WGU, and that's taken up a lot of my time. Finally, I'm to the final project. I've got like 6 credits left, so almost done. But I thought maybe it would be time to bust out another video. I've seen grabbed a few subscribers, so it looks like most of my videos lately have been on React, so I'm going to keep it rolling. So this video is going to be video 2 in the series of the Before React series. There's things you should know. And in this video, we're going to kind of cover a wide range of topics, if you will. But we're still just going to come up with a simple example. So we're going to use Create React App. This time we're going to do a full stack, a very small full stack app. And we're going to use Express for our back end. And of course, we're going to use React for our front end. And I'm going to show you how to, with a very simple setup, how to wire that up in development. And with that back end, we're going to use that back end just to make a simple API call. And we're going to use a package called axios. You don't need axios. You can do this with fetch or any other HTTP library to make calls with. I prefer axios, so we're going to use axios here. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to set up some npm scripts in our package.json. I'm going to show you some neat tricks that streamline full stack React development, how I do things. And to do that, we're going to use a couple more npm packages. One's called concurrently, and one's called nodemon. As you see here, we're in Microsoft Visual Studio Code. That's what I like to use. I'm on a Windows machine, but I believe it's available for all platforms. It's a really cool code editor. It's got a lot of features, a lot of add-ons through extensions. This is a built-in preview, so you can preview like a README, like a markdown file. But anyway, we're going to use nodemon and concurrently, and I want to explain what those do. And we're going to set up a proxy on our front end, and I'll show you what that is when we get to it, but that is what's going to enable us to kind of streamline how our front and back end interact. So you can use stuff like React Router if you need to in the front end, but when you want to access that back end, you're able to with a proxy. We're going to go over just set state, which controls the state. You probably, if you know anything about React, you've heard of state and set state. And then we're going to go over kind of the main feature is React's new context feature, which is very similar to props, but context is pretty cool because with props, you kind of have to, say you have something at your highest level component, you have to pass it, and you wanted to get it maybe like 3 components deep in your application. You have to pass it to every single component if you use props. But with context, you pass it in to a parent component, and you can retrieve it from any component further down your tree. but we'll explain how that works with more examples later. So that's what we're going to go over. It's going to be pretty cool. And we're going to get started. So I've got, hopefully this is big enough. I zoomed in and enlarged the size of my text. I usually like to work a little smaller. But I've got a new folder open. I've got a new folder open inside of Visual Studio Code. I hit Control tilde, and that's going to open up my integrated terminal into this folder. So the first thing I'm going to do is just run npm init -y and hit enter. And that's going to create a package JSON for me. And this is going to be basically the package JSON for our back end. And it's also going to be our main package JSON. Now, you'll see in a minute when we create our React part, it'll make its own, but you'll see as we go. So here I'm just going to say touch server.js. That's just another way to create a file. You could always go up here and just create a new file here, but whatever. So we're going to get a couple packages for our backend here. So I'm going to run npm install -S express. Like I said, we're going to run express you should know what express is. Probably express is a framework for building a server, basically, in JavaScript. There's a few other ones, but Express is by far the most popular. I like Express. And we're also going to run npm. Instead of install, I showed this in the first video, you can just say npm I. You don't have to write out install. And instead of --save -dev or whatever it is for development dependencies, I'll just do D. And this is where we're going to install concurrently, as well as nodemon. So we'll let those two packages install real quick. And of course, you should have watched the first video, but I showed you how to install Node. You know, I'm hoping that you build upon the video, so I don't have to go over installing Node, making sure you have to create React app. The first video shows how to do both of those, so I'm assuming that you have those already. You know, you wouldn't have npm installed unless you already have. You need Node. npm comes with Node. It's the package manager for Node. So now we can take a look at this package JSON, and you'll see in our main dependencies we've got Express, and in our dev dependencies we've got concurrently and nodemon. So that's the difference between that capital S and the capital D. So the capital D is going to give us our dev dependencies, and the capital S is going to be our regular dependencies. All right, so now we've got that set up basically. So why don't we go ahead and open up our server.js here, and we're going to make a very super duper simple server. So first thing, we'll say const express equals require s. We'll say const app equals express as a function like that. So we invoke express, and that gives us our server. And then the simplest thing to do is just say, why don't we make up a port too? We'll say const port equals, we'll go with 3001. So create React app by default puts, it'll spin up a dev server for the front end, which is different from this. This is our backend server. So in development, create React app will come up on port 3000. So we'll just make this port 3001. Why not? Then we'll just say app.listen. We'll say port. And we can also put a comma there and supply a callback function. I like to do this. It's a simple arrow function. And we'll console.log, and we'll put this as a string literal. In backticks here, we'll say server is up on port, and then with a $sign and curlies, we'll just say port. So we should get a message when the server comes up. We'll just get a message in our console saying that the server is in fact up. So back to our package.json real quick. We can get rid of this test script, and we'll make a script to start our server. So we're going to call this server, and make sure you use double quotes, and we'll just say nodemon server.js. The reason we use nodemon here is when we update this file, we could use node. So we can always use regular node and run node server.js, and that runs, see our console log, our server's up and running now. But if we went in and changed something like if we went up and changed servers up on port, and then we wanted to, just add booyah after it, and hit save, nothing, it doesn't reboot it. In order to reboot it, we have to close it down and then run the command again. And I screwed that up since I put that outside of the backticks. And I just want to put that back inside the backticks. Save. And you have to run the command again in order for your changes to take effect. But that's why we set up our server command with nodemon, because I'll show you, watch. Now we'll run npm run server. And that's going to run with nodemon. You'll see nodemon in here. You'll see this output from nodemon right here. And if we come in and say booyah sucka and save it, you'll notice it automatically reboots our server with our new changes. So that's why we use nodemon. If you're not familiar with nodemon, it's pretty cool. Now we change it back to our original, reboots again to our original. So you can see how that would save you a lot of time and effort and pain in the butt during development. So on our back end here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep it very simple. We're going to say app.get. First parameter is the root. So we're going to say if it gets API/user. And the second argument here is going to be request and response. And I just abbreviate them to rec and res. This is a simple arrow function here. A root handler is what this would be called. So we want to send something back. The front end is going to call API/user on the back end with a GET request. And we're going to supply some data. And in this case, we're going to use a user. So we're just going to simply define. Normally, this would probably be from a database, but we're not going to go that deep. This is a simple tutorial. So we're just going to make a user object. We're going to say let's user an object here. And we're going to say name. Say name is Benjamin. Age 37. I'm going to say photo. We need a photo to pop in there. I'll find a photo for us here real quickly. Sign into my AWS. You don't need to know any of this stuff because we're not really covering it in this video. I'm just going to my Amazon I'm just going into my Amazon bucket here. We'll just get a small file to use here. Well, we'll use this one. And I will leave this address in the README or in the comments note section for the video, so you can use this in your example too. But just an image URL. So here, I'm just going to say response.send user. So this is our whole backend right here. It's an Express app running on port 3001 that when someone calls, someone hits this API user endpoint, we're going to send this object back to the front end that includes a name, an age, and a photo. Very simple. Save that. That's our backend. Easy peasy. Okay. Now, we can shut down our backend with Control-C. And now we're going to bring in our front end. So we already have Create React App installed. So we're just going to run create -react-app space. And we'll just call it example. You can call this whatever you want. It's the name of the folder that contains your React app, basically your front end. So after that, we'll just hit enter. And it's going to take a few minutes to install all the different stuff that goes with React. And you can see it's already started our example folder. So we've got our back end, and now we're installing our front end. So a neat little trick while this installs is I'm going to show you how you put your own package.json inside of React. And we went over this in the first video. But I'm going to show you a trick. So in the package.json that we've been working with, out here, I'm going to say we're going to make another script called client. And in this script, we're going to say npm run start. But we're also going to say -- prefix example. What that's going to do is let us run the npm start command that lives inside of React here. So now it's done installing. You'll see this also has a package.json. And inside it's got a start script that runs its npm script start, and that spins up the front end. So we're gonna have it so we can run our client from outside, and I'll show you why here with this last script. This last script is going to be our start script, and we installed that concurrently package, and that's how we're going to use concurrently. This is a little tricky. We have to escape. So it's /\quote npm run server /quote space /quote npm run client /quote regular quote. So we had to escape some quotes in there, but it looks a little weird. But basically, at the same time, that's what concurrently allows. We're going to run this command that kicks up our server, and this command that kicks up our client. We're going to run both the commands in the same terminal at the same time using our start command. And that's pretty cool. So we'll save that. And now we don't have to CD into like normally we'd CD into our folder, then we'd run npm start in here, open a whole new terminal, run our server in that. But now we can run them both out of the same terminal. Makes development very easy. Just go npm start out here, and it's going to run both. It's nodemon for our backend, and then you can see it's running that React script start for our front end. So it automatically opens the front end on port 3000 here. So our front end's up, our back end's up, everything's running nicely. Okie dokie. So that's all we need to do there. Coming to our src directory. I guess we can get rid of that test file just to cut down on the room. But really, not that big a deal for this tutorial. You can keep that. So here we are. I'm just going to get rid of that real quick. So how do we make a call to our backend now? So now we're just dealing with a plain slate here. Okay. So I'll open a new terminal real quick. And this new terminal, I'm going to cd into that example directory. Now I'm going to run npm I-S axios. So I'm going to install axios onto the front end. So that'll pop up in this package.json file as opposed to this, since I am in the example directory now. And that's where I want it. I want it on the front end. Because here I want to be able to say import axios. So that's installing. I hope having this open doesn't complicate it for some reason. It's definitely taking longer than it should for some reason. I'm going to shut this server down real quick. I'm going to shut this whole terminal down. I got that terminal shut down. Just wondering why it's taking so long to install axios. But what that is, I'll do axios here. So what we need to be able to do is call our backend. So if the big application, you may have React router installed, you may have a bunch of routes. But what you don't want to do is eventually, when you publish this as a production app, everything's going to be, usually everything's going to be one big app. You're going to merge everything together. So you don't want to be doing something like axios that get, HTTP localhost 3001/API/user. You don't want to do that because, I mean, that's going to change, say you publish your app somewhere, it's not going to be on local host anymore. It's not going to be on 3001 anymore. This is going to help things. I'll show you what we need to do here. I'm going to use what's called a proxy. Now, I don't know why it's going so crazy installing axios. I'm not sure what's going on there, but what we're going to do is create a proxy. So I'll show you how to do that. For that, we're going to open the package.json inside of the example directory right here. So we're going to go pretty much somewhere near the top, and we're going to say proxy. That's going to be an object. Make sure you put a comma afterwards. And here we're going to specify what our root is. So our root is actually going to be /API /star or asterisk or whatever. So whenever our front end makes a call to API /whatever, it's going to use this proxy. And basically, proxy is we're just telling it here by specifying what's called a target. We're specifying it what to use. So right here, this is where we're going to put http ://localhost 3001. That's where our backend is. So this is going to prevent it from, say we had React Router or anything like that. It knows whenever it gets something called to API /anything, it's going to refer to our local host /API /whatever. So that's what you need there. Oh, it looks like. All right, so I'm just going to make sure I copy that real quick because I think it added axios here to our dependencies. So I'm just going to say discard changes. But since I copied that, now I'm just going to pop that back in. And you can see that it added axios here. And I just copied and pasted that back in. Now when I save it, I automatically format it. Okay, we're good. So everything is right where it's supposed to be. Our proxy is set up. Okay, so here we got axios. So we're going to create something, and it's going to be using a life cycle method here. We're going to say component. We use component will mount. And you can actually make this async. I like to use async await versus callbacks or events. We're just going to say async component will mount, and we're going to say const response equals await axios dot get, and we're just going to pass it /API /user. And if you recall, that's exactly what the endpoint is here, right here, API /user. And since we're calling to an API root /anything, in this case user, it's going to hit that proxy we just built right here. It's going to hit, since it's /API, it's going to hit the proxy. Therefore, it's going to go, okay, let me go to http localhost 3001 /API /user. And then it's going to hit this endpoint right here. Okay. So right here, we're going to say user equals response.data. So that's just how it's going to come across with Axios. There's going to be some other things like headers and so forth and so on. But the actual data that gets sent is going to be in response / data. So I'll prove it to you here. We'll do a couple console logs. We'll do console.log, say response. We'll look at the whole response right here. Okay. So right here we'll cd back into our main directory. We'll run npm start. And so before this component will mount means, okay, before this component mounts, it's going to run this code. So we'll run npm start. We'll close that one down. It's going to open a new one most likely. See, it's going through. You can see here, right here, boom, it's just where it made the proxy for us right there. And here it is booting up. And if we go into our DevTools, to our console, we'll see our responses here. It's an object. And as you can see, it's got a config. There's our data. When you recognize our data, there's our data. And so we're getting our response. But you see it's got like headers, you know, it's got request, it's got status, it's got status text. But we're interested in that data. So that's why we said user is response.data. And then we'll just say, we'll say this dot set state user. So in our, we'll do it this way. We'll say constructor props, super props, and then we'll say this dot state equals an object. Within that is a user. It'll start out. We'll just say null for now. But we can test it here. Make sure it's refreshed here. Okay. So if you have the React DevTools, you can see what we call it. We have this called a set state right here, where a user should be going from null to this data here. So we should expect to see it in our state. If you have the React DevTools, you can test that without even putting it out here into your UI. So with React DevTools, you can just come over here, and we are in our app component. So we just type in app, click on this, and over here, look, we've got our props in our state, and here's our user. And we can expand that, and there we've got our information that we want. So this part one of the video, I figured I'd break it into two parts. We've already gone to about 34 minutes here, it looks like. So we've covered quite a bit in this time, and we haven't even got to context yet. So if you just wanted to learn how to make API calls, set up a backend, so forth and so on, and hopefully you got something out of this example. Now the whole proxy thing may be confusing to you if you've never used it before, never heard of it, but as you get further into React, you'll see why creating that proxy is a smart idea. And especially maybe in the future, maybe the next video I'll start to talk about React Router, and you know, you'll start to realize why having that proxy is really good. And especially in the future, I'm going to show you how to combine front end and back end into one application so that you can publish it. because right now we're in a development mode. We've really got two separate applications here, both running at the same time. And while that's a perfectly legit way to publish an application, in the future we'll go over how to publish these as one unified full stack application. But more advanced topics right now, if you've done the code that we've put forward in this video, you're already on the right track. So stay tuned for video number 2 in this series, where we'll start messing around with the context, the brand new context feature of React version 16.4. So we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and see ya later.